The cross-country teams compete in regionals.
And the women's basketball team tips off.
All that and more coming up on All Access. Welcome to All Access, the show that is your home for all things Rowan athletics. I'm Derek Hill.
And I'm Cody Decker. We have a lot of postseason coverage to get to today. So let's begin with coverage on the NCAA Soccer Championships. Derek?
Thanks, Cody. The men's soccer team hosted the Cabrini Cavaliers on Saturday in the opening matchup of the NCAA Championship Tournament. Rowan was the heavy favorite in this matchup, and they showed it during regular time. The team had 40 total shots, with 11 being on goal. This was compared to the Cavaliers, who only mustered a single shot in all of regular time. Despite the offensive push by the Profs, Cavaliers goalie Mike Gold came away with 11 saves to keep his team in the game heading into the first overtime period. With 3 minutes and 20 seconds remaining, Andre Justin made the game-winning shot for the Cavaliers on just their second total shot of the game. The Cavaliers advanced in the tournament, handing Rowan a 1-0 upset in just the first round. The team ends their season with a 17-4-1 record.
The women's soccer team also opened up their NCAA Championship Tournament on Saturday, taking on the University of Scranton Royals. The Royals only had 3 total shots, all of them coming in the first half. They made both of the shots on goal to take a 2-0 lead over the Profs at the end of the first half. Rowan's 12 shots on goal and 20 total weren't enough to cut through the Royals' defense, leading to a 2-0 final score. This brings the team's third straight playoff run to an end as they end the season with a record of 12-3-3.
The Rowan women's basketball team started off their season on a good note with an 86-76 victory over Delaware Valley University. The Profs were led by Dominique Peters, who recorded a double-double with 18 points and 14 rebounds. Peters was also able to add 5 assists to go along with 4 steals to lead Rowan to the victory. The matchup was within 10 points for most of the game until Rowan went on a 12-3 run in the fourth quarter. This put the Profs up by 16 with almost 2 minutes remaining, and they never looked back. Next up for the Profs is the Coaches Against Cancer Classic at York College on November 17th, where they will take on Grove City College at 8 p.m.
The Rowan football team traveled to Kane University on Saturday to take on the Cougars. Rowan moved the ball well in the first half, holding a 16-14 lead heading into halftime. In the fourth quarter, the team found themselves down by 11 with 10 minutes to go. The Profs cut the lead as Naldi Tavares threw a touchdown pass to Jamel Smith with 3 minutes remaining. The team would get the ball back, leading to a 2-yard run by John Mannion with 1 second left in the game. This proved to be the final score of the game as Rowan won by a score of 28-27. John Mannion totaled 58 yards on the ground as well as the game-winning touchdown. The defense came in clutch during the game, coming away with 3 total interceptions. This includes a 41-yard interception return from Joe DeBari. The team ends their 6-game losing streak, improving to 4-6 on the season.
Now for the latest in pro sports land, here's Chris Devine with this week's Pro Talk.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of Pro Talk. I'm your host, Chris Devine, keeping you up to date in what is topping the news of the world of professional sports. Things are getting a little dicey in Dallas, with the Cowboys getting hammered by the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday by a score of 27-7. The boys were without running back Ezekiel Elliott for the first game of his 6-game suspension, forcing more workload on quarterback Dak Prescott, who could barely stay on his feet as he was sacked 8 times by the Atlanta defense. Dallas faces the NFL's best in the Eagles on Sunday night and hopes to keep their chances at a division title alive, which won't be easy. To add on top of everything else, owner and general manager Jerry Jones has come under fire recently for openly stating that he's trying to sue the NFL for having talks with Commissioner Roger Goodell on a contract extension. Jones received a cease and desist warning from the NFL's compensation committee. This report has gained so much steam that multiple team owners have even tried to convince Jones to sell the Cowboys. we'll see where the future of America's team goes, but isn't it a little strange to see Dallas screw everything up before the month of December? Anyway, the first highly anticipated matchup between the 76ers and Los Angeles Lakers took place on Wednesday night. The heat between Joel Embiid and Lonzo Ball started on draft night when Embiid tweeted teammate Ben Simmons to, quote, dunk on him so hard that his daddy has to run out there to save him, talking about LeVar Ball. Embiid was also fined over the summer for saying F LeVar Ball on his Instagram page. As for the game, Lonzo's poor shooting percentage continued to drop as he went 1 for 9 from the field, including 0 for 6 from beyond. As for Embiid, he had a historic night, becoming the first player in NBA history with a line of at least 46 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, and 7 blocks. As far as getting dunked on, Simmons didn't necessarily posterize Lonzo, but he did pull off a nice Euro step move around Ball, leading to a slam. T.J. McConnell also lit up Sixers Twitter in the first quarter when he pulled off a spin move around Lonzo, leading to a bucket, making him look silly. The 76ers went on to win 115-109. The rematch between the two teams will be on December 7th in Philadelphia. I wonder if LeVar will show up to receive a nice little Philly welcome. And finally, an emotional moment in the Giants-49ers game this past Sunday as San Francisco wide receiver Marquise Goodwin played and scored a touchdown just hours after the stillbirth of his son. Goodwin scored on an 83-yard touchdown pass, then went down on both knees, looked up to the sky, and then put his face in the ground and broke down with his teammates there to console him. Goodwin said that his wife's selflessness that is what helped him play as she urged him to suit up for the game. Goodwin's moment just reminds us of how powerful sports can be. That's all I have for you on this week's Pro Talk. Later, Cody and Derek have the latest on the cross-country team, but coming up after the break, Michael sits down with members of the men's soccer team for this week's Rowan Roundtable, so stay tuned for more All Access.
Welcome back to All Access. It is time for our Rowan Roundtable. Joining me today are Matt Hendrickson and Eric Checker of the men's soccer team. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so we'll start off with you are a forward.
Yes.
Correct? You are a goalie. What's the more difficult position to play, guys?
It's a tough one, but I mean, being a forward, if you don't put the ball in the back of the net, you're not going to win games. It's as simple as that. I think there's a lot more pressure on forwards. You have to have a more complete game in terms of every touch has to be perfect. You have to set your teammates up, and then it's as simple as when you get the ball in front of the net, you gotta bury it. So I'd say forward.
Okay.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, as a goalkeeper, you kind of, you can make 10 worldly saves, like 10 incredible saves, but as soon as you mess up that one time, everyone hates you.
Yeah.
Everyone hates you. So it's always, you have to be perfect. Hey, don't give me a little eye roll. Yeah, you always have to be perfect. You can't. There's no room for error. Everything has to be spot on. Everything mentally, you're tied. You gotta. Goalkeepers now use their feet almost as much as any player.
Yeah.
So just everything's got to be spot on, or else you go from a hero to zero real quick.
Okay. So Eric, I have to ask you. You're 6'8".
Yeah.
Is it an advantage for you as a goalie?
Yeah, definitely. You definitely have a lot of advantage because you can get to the high balls and you can get to low balls. Although they're difficult, it's better than, say, a goalkeeper who's 5'5", 5'6". They're not going to be able to get to the ones that are all the way up there. So I always found it that even though it's a little bit more difficult, you just got to stay a little bit lower.
Okay.
You can get to all of them.
Okay, cool. So a couple of teams got disqualified from the World Cup this past week. U.S., Italy, Chile, Netherlands, to name a few. What was the most surprising team that got disqualified for you guys?
I mean, with U.S., you can't really expect too much nowadays. So I'd probably have to go with Italy. They've been a powerhouse ever since I can remember watching soccer growing up. So to see guys like Buffon and having Pirlo just recently retire, it's pretty bad for them. So I'd say to see Italy not make the World Cup, it's going to be pretty weird watching without them in it. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I've always watched Buffon growing up, watching his videos. Whenever I try to get set for game day or something, I'm always watching videos, and he's one of them I'm always watching. And to see him not be in it and that he's going to retire and everything, it's a real shame.
Okay, so are there any other professional players that you guys model your games off of? You watch some tape on, maybe take some notes and try to add that to your games?
Yeah, I've watched a lot of players growing up. That's how I know a lot of my moves, and people say I'm fancier, if you will, but it's just because I watch a lot of guys like Ronaldo, guys like Neymar, Douglas Costa, like just to name a few. They're guys that when I watch soccer, they make it very fun and enjoyable to watch. And so my goal always when I step on the field is to make sure everybody that's watching the game has a good time. So if I can do a fancy move here and there just to get the crowd going, it makes me play a little bit better and gets me fired up. So guys like Neymar is probably who I'd say.
Okay. How about you, Eric?
I've always enjoyed watching Keylor Navas because he's shorter, but he really makes his presence known. He plays like an incredible athlete. When I'm trying to teach myself things, I always find I'm watching Courtois, because he's 6'7" as well. So he's about the same height. Like there's
Very
a lot
similar.
of things that can relate. Where if I'm trying to find where I'm going to be position-wise and everything, I try to stick with him.
Okay, so the soccer season's a long season. You guys play 22 games this year. What's tougher for you guys? Is it the preparation, the conditioning going into the season? Is it the season itself, going through the 22 games, the practices? What's the hardest part for you guys?
For me personally, having taken roughly a year and a half off, and especially with how we run our program, we're a very physically fit team, and that's the standard we have to meet. There's no, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. You have to meet the standards because that's how the program's always been. So for me, it'd probably be preseason. The whole preseason and getting prepared for that is a grind in itself, just getting prepared for it. And then once you hit preseason, it adds so much more just hard work and determination that you have to add into your everyday life, whether it's waking up and going to bed 2 hours earlier. It's just from A to B, it's just a lot harder. So
Now, is it more conditioning, running, or is it more lifting weights, a mixture of the two?
for me, it was conditioning.
Okay.
I was into lifting weights a lot beforehand, but at the same, you can't run at a lot of weight. So for me, it'd be conditioning.
Okay. How about you, Eric?
I hate running. That has to be the worst thing.
Yep, I do as well.
A lot of the training I had to do did involve a lot of running, and that was probably the worst part.
Okay.
And one thing coming here, it's changed how I've looked at the game and how I train and how I play, like everything. The whole mindset, coming into it, it's not something I really had when I started training for Rowan, but once I started playing with the guys, training every day, it's something that it's a huge part, and it's definitely going to help me going into next year, having that mindset.
Okay. Like he said, maybe going to bed a little earlier. Did you guys have like a nutrition diet, maybe eat a little healthier during the season?
I mean, I like to eat pretty healthy as it is. I try to stay away from any like sweets or sodas and stuff. I've never been a real big fan of it. So for me, the diet's pretty easy. But going to bed earlier is definitely a struggle for me. I have a tough time falling asleep. So getting ready for preseason a week, 2 weeks in advance, I try to start falling asleep a couple hours earlier. So just to get used to it.
Okay. That's it for you?
Kind of. It's when I start getting the diet going, it's difficult because when I'm trying to train and get ready, I start dieting. But as soon as you start playing, you're going all out during preseason and everything. One thing our coach is big on is getting calories and just making sure like you don't need to like eat salads and all that stuff. Like that's just you're almost burning calories.
Yeah, you're running so much, you're burning it off.
Yeah, and you just need it. So anything that gives you energy. So I don't necessarily worry too much about the diet. I just eat as much as I can, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to your guys' season, you guys had an impressive season, 17-4-1. Do you guys think you met your expectations? You exceeded them? You maybe fell a little bit short of that? What do you guys think?
Personally, I think we fell a little bit short of what we all were expecting. I mean, in my opinion, we have the most talented team in the country from our goalie to our striker. But I don't think at times we worked as hard as we should have.
Okay.
I think, in my opinion, we should have been national champions, and everybody else alongside of me thought the same thing. So unfortunately, we didn't. But there's always next season. So
Yeah, definitely.
I think the most disappointing part about it is that we never. I think it's worse that we didn't see our best. The entire team, like everybody else that we played, they could say what they want about us, like it doesn't matter. The worst part that kills me is that all together, our offense, our defense, our midfield, everyone together, I can't say that all of us together had a game. Just a complete game. And where we saw 100% out of every single person that stepped on that field.
Okay.
So falling short, it's definitely disappointing, but I think that was what really hurt me the most.
Well, you know what? It's going to keep a fire in your belly. You guys will come out
right.
next year, come out even stronger, and good luck with next year.
Thank you
You
very
know,
much.
thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having us.
That is all the time we have for this week's Rowan Roundtable. I would like to thank Matt and Eric for being here. Cody and Derek, back to you.
Thanks, Michael. Time to see how the cross-country teams performed in their regional meets. Cody?
Thanks, Derek. The men's cross-country team wrapped up the Atlantic Regional this past Saturday. The Profs placed 4th out of a total 42 teams competing in the regional. Rowan was led by Kevin Veltri, who placed 3rd out of 290 runners in the 8K course with a time of 24 minutes, 32.6 seconds. This run qualified Veltri for the national championships this weekend and also earned him all-region honors. This is the 2nd year in a row in which Veltri qualified for the NCAA championships. Dan Fitch-Henry and Matt Russo of Rowan placed 18th and 25th respectively in the 8K course. The NCAA championships get started this Saturday, November 18th.
The women's cross-country team finished 20th out of 41 schools at the NCAA Atlantic Regional on Saturday afternoon. There were 285 runners in the 6K race. Hannah Vendetta was the top prof to cross the finish line. She was 72nd overall with a time of 23 minutes, 45.3 seconds. 2 other finishers in the top 100 were Emily Acton in 84th place and Jennifer Clavens in 86th place. Alyssa Sanders, Gina Capone, and Brianna Dela Cruz all finished in the top 175.
The men's swimming and diving team won 168-73 at William Patterson University on Friday night, notching their first conference win of the season. Rowan had first places in the 200 medley and 200 freestyle relays. Matt Shalacy won the 200 free, and David Smits finished 2nd. Matt Grubb won the 50 free, and Matt Smits took 2nd. In the 1,000 freestyle, the Profs dominated the podium as Matt McSorley finished in 1st, while Stephen Nugent and Dom Merrigy were 2nd and 3rd respectively.
The men's diving team competed at Westchester University on Saturday. Chad Shire finished 3rd in the 1-meter dive with 225.9 points. He also finished 2nd on the 3-meter board with 239.7 points. Sean Piacente followed him on the 1-meter in 4th place with 191.65 points. Christian Termine took 4th on the 3-meter and 5th on the 1-meter.
The men's swimming and diving team took on Ramapo College this past Saturday, where they walked away with a big 186-76 win. The Profs took first place in the 200 medley relay, led by Kevin Galuli, Matt Grubb, Nick Marte, and Eric Fierstein. This group finished with a winning time of 1 minute 36.66 seconds. John Tepper of Rowan came through with 2 big wins in the 500 and 1,000 freestyles. The Profs won an impressive 10 out of the 12 events being competed. Next up for Rowan is the CMU Diving Invitational starting this Friday in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
After the break, our Ayala Gideon sits down with more members of the men's soccer team in this week's Prof Spotlight. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to All Access. Time for this week's Prof Spotlight. Joining me are Shane Daughtery and Will Shostad of the men's soccer team. Thanks for being here with me tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Cool. So tell me about the 11th. Is there anything you want to change strategic-wise?
I feel like, in that game, obviously it was real emotional for us because we didn't get the result that we wanted, but with that we were able to, bring out and show a lot of things that maybe we didn't do up until that point. And, it was tough. It was real tough, but it just wasn't the result that we wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way I like to look at it is it's a beautiful game, and it's a beautiful game for a reason that, anyone can win any game. And, I felt like we dominated. I felt people who were there realized we dominated, but at the end of the day, it's about getting the result, and whether it was pretty or not, they got the result. And, if I was on the other side of it, if I was Cabrini, I'd be over the moon just like they were. And, it sucks. It was heartbreak for us, but, that's part of the game. And like I said, I would have loved to have been celebrating like them, but everything's a learning experience, and we can learn from it. So
that's a great way of viewing it. So tell me how you put Rowan on the international map by your trip to Spain. Tell me about the experience.
You know, it was crazy. I actually went there. I went to Spain my sophomore year of high school, which, you know, I was blessed to do that. But you don't really appreciate everything as much when you do things when you're younger. So when we got to go there as a team, you know, just being around everyone the entire time, like, you know, we went on the bus together, every single place together, like, ate every meal together. It was just, you know, we were together the whole time, and we got a great group of guys, and like we're all really good friends. So it wasn't like it was, you know, too much, and you know, you felt like people were on top of each other. It was everyone was enjoying it all the time, and since we were older, we get you know, you take in a lot more things, like, you know, the culture and the food, and it was just, you know, it was something just very memorable, and you never forget that for the rest of your life. And then obviously we went there to play soccer, so we had.
Tell me about the players. Like, were their techniques different from the American style of playing soccer, or, you know, talk about that.
Yeah, so like with that, because like over in Spain, you know, in America actually, like you know, people look at soccer and it's very direct and you're just always flying. But for them in Spain, it's the complete opposite. They just want to play simple, slow, work the ball around and really think out their build-up play and then capitalize on something that, you know, that they've been training on for weeks prior to this game. So that's what they do for a living. We're here in college, you know, going to classes and everything. You know, we're doing so many things. The only thing that they worry about, since they are semi-professional soccer players and professional soccer players, is they just play soccer. So it's really easy for them just to focus on that. And it was just kind of nice to see that different style of soccer, because here it's part of our lives, but for them it's everything in their lives. So it was just real cool to see that. And, you know, we got to, you know, bring back some of that style and play back to America, and we had a very good season because of it.
Yeah, so overall it seemed like a really great team bonding experience.
Yeah.
Sure.
So tell me some of the roles and responsibilities of being captain.
The way I like to look at it is that a lot of it is just how we live almost, and how we are on the field. It's about raising the level of the program. We have standards of our program, and as captains, it's our expectation to lift that. And we're constantly trying to do that on and off the field, whether it's being a good student, being a good person, holding doors and stuff like that. The best example I could put out is if you're doing a sprint and you're just a player on the team and you look over at the captain. If the captain's giving anything less than 100%, then why is the kid on the team going to give anything, you know, more than 100%? And that's what we need. We need everyone giving top-notch effort in everything that we do. So as a captain, the responsibility really falls on being the best I can be in every way and being there for all my teammates.
Like setting the standard of like how I should play.
For sure,
Like
yeah.
the behavior on the field and off the field.
And off the field, yeah.
Yeah, with that, like, a lot of people would take that as like it's a pressure thing, because, you know, we had 32 guys on our team this year, and, you know, they're looking at us to see what we do, and then so they could base their life off of it. And like, you know, for us, it's, people would think that it's like pressure, but for us, it holds us to another level, and it's kind of cool because it makes us be the best people that we can be. And, you know, that's what our program preaches. It's not just being a good soccer player, it's being a great all-around person. And, you know, seeing that and seeing people change their own lives because of, you know, just what we think, you know, just doing the right thing all the time, like, it's great to see that. So it's fun. It's a fun experience.
Speaking of fun experiences, what was some highlights from the season? I know, Shane, you scored that winning goal against TCNJ. That must be one of them.
Yeah, you know, being on ESPN was definitely pretty surreal. But for me, it's the team accomplishments, and it's the big games for our teams. I always look back at Muhlenberg. He had a crazy goal. It was like top shelf with a minute left to tie, and then we win in overtime. We look at Newark. It's when the team comes together, especially almost in adversity, and responds and gets that big result. Those are the memories I never forget. Those are the times that I dream about. Like, you visualize it over and over again, because those are the nights you always remember, whether it's you scoring a goal or maybe you're on the bench or whatever it is. It's those big moments for the team that are like really special in there.
Speaking of the team, what do you consider some of the team's strengths and weaknesses that you had to face this season?
You know, I think just strength-wise, like, we have a great group of guys that are very athletic. We have, I think, maybe the tallest team in the country. Like, you see it throughout our whole team. And not only that, like, we have guys who break barriers with speed. They're fastest kids in the country, like can jump ridiculously high. Like we have freak athletes, but not only that, like we have great all-around people. And like the guys on our team, you know, like it's cool because you look at other teams and, you know, you get a lot of bickering and, you know, groups and cliques and all that, but like a lot of the guys on the team, like you just really love the guys that you're with, and they're very genuine. And I think that's something that, you know, carries over into the game, because if you're being a good all-around person off the field, it translates to, you know, just keeping your discipline high and, you know, just being a great person on the field and working hard for the guys around you, because why would you want to fight for someone that wouldn't fight for you outside of the soccer field? So it's just kind of cool to see that, and it's I think that's a huge strength that we have.
Yeah, and I guess if I were to look at the weaknesses, the biggest thing that comes to mind is that it goes off of what Will's saying, is that, you know, we have such a talented team. We have guys that work hard. We have, like, you know, the physical attributes, but sometimes we go into these games and we don't implement our style on other teams. It's as if we sit back to see what other teams have, and almost in an intimidated fashion. I don't think we're intimidated, but it appears that way, and we should never go into a game like that when we have so many awesome players, like, up and down the roster. We should always go in and give the teams what we got. Like, don't wait for them. You know, we shouldn't play down to any competition, and when we play top competition, we shouldn't be scared, because we have some really awesome players.
Well, that was some great advice, and good luck to you guys next season. That's all we have. I would like to thank Will and Shane for coming. Cody and Derek, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Ayala. Time to see how the women's swimming and diving team did this week. Derek?
Thanks, Cody. The women's swimming and diving team took down Keene University by a score of 142 to 55 on Thursday night. It was Rowan's first conference meet. Rowan won the 200 medley and 200 freestyle relays. The medley relay included Miranda Coughlin, Emily Kopchik, Veronica Alvarez, and Polina Deneva. Gabby Glieger, Elizabeth O'Brien, Carly Timmons, and Abigail Brous were on the free relay. Glieger was the winner in the 1,000 freestyle, and Coughlin won the 200 individual medley. The Profs improved to 2-2 on the season and would travel to William Patterson University on Friday for a conference meet.
The women's swimming and diving team dominated William Patterson on Friday by a score of 184 to 51. The 200 medley relay of Gabby Glieger, Emily Kopchik, Antonia Simonek, and Polina Deneva had a winning time of 1 minute 55.5 seconds. The 200 freestyle relay team of Bianca Karpinski, Glieger, Abigail Brous, and Simonek won with a time of 1 minute 44.02 seconds. Alex Bambrick took first place in the 1,000 freestyle and 100 breaststroke, while Veronica Alvarez came in first in the 200 freestyle, and Brous won the 50 free. Megan Miller won the 100 freestyle as well.
The women's diving team competed at Westchester University on Saturday. Claudia Zotkowitz took the silver on both the 1 meter and 3 meter boards, earning 208.75 points and 184.8 points. Kelly McQuestion finished third on the 1 meter board with 160 points. She was also third in the 3 meter dive with 160.9 points.
The women's swimming and diving team defeated Ramapo College 209 to 52 on Saturday. The 200 medley relay team of Abigail Brous, Megan Miller, Gabby Glieger, and Antonia Simonek took first place with a time of 1 minute 52.56 seconds. The 400 freestyle relay team of Miller, Bianca Karpinski, Elizabeth O'Brien, and Miranda Coughlin also finished first with a time of 3 minutes 43.95 seconds. The Profs won all of the 12 individual events, including Coughlin winning the 50, 100, and 200 freestyle, and Glieger took first in the 100 and 200 butterflies. Now, this week we did not have any Division II hockey news for you. That is because they did not play a game this weekend. However, the Division II team has moved up 3 spots from number 8 to number 5 in the Southeast Regional Rankings. So for not playing a game and moving up 3 spots in the region, that's definitely a very high note for the Profs.
Yeah, absolutely. Great push for them. We have reached the finish line, and that does it for this episode of All Access. For Michael Penn, Isla Gideon, Chris Devine, Cody Decker, and the entire All Access team, I'm Derek Hill. We'll see you next time.